Hello and welcome to the Print on Demand Playbook Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Von Arx, here with my co-host, Kerry Egeler. And in today's episode, it's going to be a juicy one. We're going to be discussing 5 ways to increase your sales in 2024. We're going to be revealing one of the hottest media trends right now that a lot of sellers are capitalizing on. And be sure to listen to the end because we're going to be dropping a pro tip and a word of caution. But real quick, before we begin, if you have not already, please help us out by subscribing to the podcast or follow us on YouTube, wherever you are listening. We would really, really appreciate it. It helps us reach new listeners. It helps you never miss an episode. It is a win all around. With that, thank you in advance. We appreciate each and every one of you. And now let's jump in. What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. This is going to be an action-packed episode. We're going to be talking about a lot of things and going kind of deep on strategy. So if you're one of our listeners who love our strategy episode, this one is for you. But first, Kerry, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? I wish I could just go to sleep one night in peace with no thunderstorms and no threat of tornadoes. Because it's been like every night for like a week. Just storms every night. Like, it's crazy. My kids are in my room, like sleeping on the floor. It's like, Can we just get some sleep around here? I'm good though. I'm feeling good.
Good. I've been hearing some crazy stuff about what's going on over there in Oklahoma. It's out of control.
It's so weird because like today it's 85 and like beautiful sunny weather. Everything's great. Yesterday, tornadoes. Tomorrow, tornadoes.
Man.
Right in between, though, we got one beautiful day. It's wet outside because it's been raining for like 5 days straight, but we got some beautiful weather. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for this one day. I need to enjoy it.
Dude, I can't say I can relate, man, but I hope you guys stay safe.
No, you have perfect weather in Arizona.
Just perfect weather all the time. No, it gets hot in the summer here, but we know what we're getting ourselves into in Arizona. Yep. So the weather's awesome most of the year. I don't even mind the summers personally, but anyhow.
What else is going on, man? You got a live training coming up?
I do. I have a huge announcement. What's that?
I said, tell the people what's up.
I'm going to tell our listeners what is up because every listener is invited. So I'm going to be doing a free live training on how to make your first $10,000 with Shopify and print on demand, where I'm going to be discussing how to build a profitable print on demand business, how to market your products effectively, and how to build an audience of raving fans, and how to generate sales without the stress. Because when you get the right systems in place, it doesn't have to be stressful. It really doesn't. It doesn't mean you're going to get sales right away, but there are systems in place that can significantly reduce your stress. Because here's what I realized doing this for so long is that an hour input into your business is not the same for everyone as an hour the output is not the same for every hour input into your business. If you are focusing on what actually moves the needle, you can be working the same amount as someone else and see significantly more success. But you have to be doing the right things and you have to stop doing the wrong things. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Not only that, it's just there's nothing quite like the live energy. I love going live and doing these masterclasses where, one, I get to meet our amazing listeners. I always love meeting our listeners. Kerry and I have had lots of opportunities to meet you guys. You guys are awesome. I'll also be doing some spot coaching at the end of the live training, at the end of the masterclass, where you can ask me anything and I'll just give you coaching tips right there, right then, live, just to help you out, something you can take away. So if that does sound like something you're interested in, this event is open to everyone. So feel free to invite anyone else that you think would actually get value out of this. All you need to do is register for one of the 2 trainings. So there's going to be 2 different times. It's going to be the same training. So you don't have to be on both, but you're more than welcome to attend both if you want to. So the first one is going to be Wednesday, May 29th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern. And the second one is going to be Thursday, May 30th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 Eastern. So there are a few ways to register. First, you can click the sign up link in the show notes below to save your seat. We'll include that on YouTube and on the podcast. And then secondly, you can go to my Instagram at ecomlegendsacademy.com, click the link in my bio, and you'll see a button there to register and to save your seat. The last thing I want to mention is even if you can't make it, we will be sending out a limited time replay. So if you're not able to attend, but you really want to get the goods, definitely still register, and we will send you the replay as soon as it's available. So just to confirm the times one more time, Wednesday, May 29th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, and Thursday, May 30th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. That is it. I hope you guys are there. You're all invited. I would love to meet you. I always love meeting you. Yeah, let's jump in. Anything you want to say, Kerry, before I shout out one of our amazing listeners?
No, let's do it.
All right. So I've got a 5-star Apple review that came in from Tiffany Raw Refined Co. And this is just an awesome review. It's actually pretty unique. Well, you're going to see. I'm just going to read the review. So she says, I found Kerry and Adrian while looking for a POD podcast. They not only are entertaining and fun to listen to, but they actually give valuable information and actionable steps in the podcast. One of the things I appreciate the most is that if they have an opposing view, they aren't afraid to say so. They honestly share their opinions. I signed up for Kerry's course, and then my sister signed up for Adrian's. Shout out to Whitney. Really enjoying Kerry's course. So how cool is that, man? They're keeping it in the family, man. One's in Shirt School, one's in T-Shirt Legends Academy. It's actually a good idea.
Why not just, get both? And
it's a really good idea because you're going to get it all. You're just going to get it all.
Awesome. That's awesome.
I told Whitney, I was like, hey, like feel free to bring your sister, to, share the content with your sister.
That's awesome.
I thought that was a great strategy. So
that's great.
Anyhow, thank you so much, Tiffany. We really appreciate that review. You're awesome. And keep them coming, guys. You guys have been so awesome lately. We asked for some reviews because we were running low, and our listeners delivered as they do. And I just want to say thank you so much, guys. Please keep them coming. We really appreciate them. And you can always listen out for a shout out. So without further ado, we are going to jump into today's episode. We've actually got quite a bit to talk about. So I'm actually going to break this up into a couple different sections. So what we're going to do is first, we're going to talk about 5 ways to increase your sales in 2024. Then I'm going to be talking about a trend that's absolutely blowing up right now. And this is going to be in relation to the final and 5th tip. And then I'm going to have a word of caution because there's some people, especially on Etsy, who are not playing by the rules. And you are really, really putting your entire business at risk. So we're going to talk about that. It's important to just say it as it is, right? We're all about, running a profitable, sustainable business for the long term. And if you are doing things ethically, you are going to significantly help your chances of doing that. So let's just jump into the first tip. So 5 ways to increase your sales in 2024. And the first tip is improve your designs. Now, this is something that I hammer home a lot. This is probably not new news if you are one of our regular listeners, but it has to be repeated because it's so important. What I've realized is that most people think they have a marketing problem when in fact they actually have a design problem. And in order to make sales, you need 2 things. You need a product that people actually want to buy, and you need to have a way of getting eyeballs in front of that product. Those are 2 requirements. So absolutely, if you are releasing designs and you're not getting them in front of anybody, yeah, that's a problem. You do need that. However, what I've realized is that a lot of people, they think they have a design problem. And then when they get those eyeballs, the sales don't follow. And I just want to talk about kind of a common scenario that I really see this play out a lot. And I have definitely been this person. So I am speaking from my own experience, but also what I see with a lot of students and a lot of people that just reach out to me over email and the DMs. So they think they're not making sales because they're not getting enough eyeballs on their products. And then what happens is they run ads. They run ads that are totally fine, that are going to their ideal customer. They get their product in front of thousands of people really, really quick, and then it's crickets. Who can relate? I know that our listeners cannot respond, but I mean, this has got to be so relatable for so many people. And if you're one of those people, I empathize with you. I've been there too. All of us have been there before. So what usually happens after this, kind of the common scenario, is that they think something's wrong with Facebook or Instagram or their ads, when the truth is the design just isn't that good. It just doesn't resonate enough. That's totally okay. Don't take it personally. It's totally fine. But not every design is going to be a winner. Everyone has to accept that. In fact, the high majority likely aren't going to be winners, especially when you are starting out and learning about your niche and about your ideal customers' preferences. I have had countless products make zero sales ever. Like, so many designs of mine never made a single sale. But that's one of the huge benefits of ads, is that you get validation very quickly. Is it the validation that you want? A lot of times it's not, but it's still validation. So if you make a ton of sales, you get validation that your design resonates with your niche. If you don't get any sales, you get validation that is just not a winner. It's just not resonating. And that doesn't mean that sale, doesn't mean that the design will never make a sale. A lot of designs, they cannot be scaled up profitably with ads, and they might not make any sales with ads, but they do make sales. Sometimes a shopper is brought in by another product and they see that one and they end up buying it. Sometimes through email marketing, they see it. That maybe they see it on an Instagram feed. A lot of these products do sell. So if you do run ads to a design and it doesn't make sales, it doesn't mean it's not capable of making sales. It just means in most cases that it's not a winner that can be scaled up profitably with ads. That's how I classify a winner. If it can be scaled up profitably with paid ads, you have a winner. And it can take time to find these, and that's totally okay. This is actually a good thing that you can get validation so quickly, good or bad, because what that means is that if you run ads and it doesn't make any sales, more likely than not, it's the design. I can tell you, like 9 times out of 10, it's the design. And it allows you to just take the emotion out and quickly move on. That should be the goal, right? Go out there, seek validation. If you don't get the validation, try again. Just again and again and again. And if you are creating designs that evoke emotion and relatability, and you're doing design research to get validation, your chances are significantly higher of that design converting and making sales. However, that doesn't mean that it's always going to be profitable with paid ads. And I think some people find this a bit shocking as well. They might have found a winner online and they might have used it as inspiration for their own, and it doesn't take off. Guys, that's pretty normal. There's a lot of reasons for that, a lot. Maybe the way you repurpose it just didn't strike a chord with your niche. Maybe it has nothing to do with your niche. I've seen that a lot, where people see viral style designs and they create something really similar and post on their website, and it's totally off niche and it's crickets. And they're like, what happened? I saw so much validation that this design was crushing online. I'm like, but it has nothing to do with your niche. Like it's not something that aligns with your audience, or clearly through validation, you find out really quickly that it doesn't really align with your audience. So I want to just kind of give some quick tips, because We don't just like to point out areas of opportunity, we also like to give actionable advice. So, in order to improve designs, here's my number one strategy that I would tell you. First, dedicate time to effective design research. This is massive. This was one of the biggest needle movers for me in my business. When I stopped guessing what my customers would like, and I stopped just choosing something that I saw and liked in my niche, but had no validation that it actually performs well. When I changed that and actually started committing time every time before I create designs, committed time to design research, that changed the game for my business. And it might not happen overnight, but it is absolutely going to improve your results over time. And it's going to significantly increase the chances that you're going to make sales. So that's the first thing. Dedicate time to effective design research. Second, identify validated winning designs. Look for validation that this design is selling a lot right now, because a lot of designs that were winning a year or 2 or 3 years ago, they're not winning anymore. And some are. I mean, you can ride a winner for years and years, but what you're going to realize is that the most momentum is in the first couple of months. So what you want to do is you want to hit it really fast and really hard while you have the most momentum. And that is by identifying validated winning designs right now. And then the third tip is to reverse engineer the success of those winning designs and use them as inspiration for your designs. In closing for this tip, and then Kerry, I want to hear your thoughts on this. In closing for this tip, you don't have to guess what people want. And I think a lot of people, they worry about starting a business because maybe they're not creative or maybe they have no clue what their customer wants. Guess what? I've got good news for everyone listening. There is tons of validation out there to find out what people in your niche want. If you actually put the time aside and commit to effective design research, you will find validation. Find what people are buying right now and create for the demand. That's why I use and love design research tools like Everbee. It allows me to identify bestsellers on Etsy in seconds, which you can then use as inspiration for your designs and then publish validated designs to your Shopify store, which, if they are in fact winners, you can scale up very quickly with paid ads. Whew, that was a mouthful. Kerry, your thoughts?
Well, I don't want to add too much. I think you. I think you really hit it there. I mean, you really hit it, Adrian. It was really long. Just kidding. I'm just playing. I'm glad you put it as number one. I mean, I think it's the number one thing. Is just oftentimes when we're not making sales, we literally just we just don't have a winning design, and we don't need to get too emotionally attached to it. We just need to try more designs. I do think, one thing that you briefly touched on at the beginning was a lot of times we say oh, I just don't have enough eyeballs, when you really just don't have a winning design. But I do think you do. I mean, you do need eyeballs, right? Like you do need to be able to get people to see the designs before you can make a judgment call on it necessarily. But as you mentioned, there are things you can do in advance to more. I don't want to say guarantee that. I don't want to say it's going to be guaranteed that you have a winner, but there are definitely things you can do, and that comes with the design research, finding other designs that are already successful, taking inspiration from those designs. I teach, in our 5-day challenge, and then in Shirt School, I just teach, the different elements you can take from winning designs. When you find a winning design, there's a reason it's winning. You can take the color scheme, you can take the font style, you can take the layout of the design, how things are actually laid out, where they're placed on the t-shirt. And then you can also you can go find a slogan that might be unrelated to your niche, and you can relate that over to your niche, right? Change out a word, right? Like a classic example that just comes to mind is that, you remember the old t-shirt that was keep calm and party on. Right. And then there was 8,000 variations that were keep calm and volleyball on, keep calm and whatever, insert any niche you want to, right? And then it was your own kind of design. So there's different things you can take during that design research phase and finding winning designs, and then kind of just using those as inspiration. But don't get too attached to your designs. Release more designs. Just move on if you have one that's not working, but do ensure that you do get enough traffic to that page to really make a judgment call. Say people like it, people don't. I mean, if you have 100
Right.
unique people click over to that design and they don't buy it, like you should be converting 1 to 2 sales on every 100 clicks, right? If they're unique clicks. Now, if it's you
Mhm.
visiting the page every day, like 1,000 times reloading it, like that doesn't count. But if you get 100 unique people to visit it and you don't make 1 to 2 sales, like, okay, let's pop up another design, right? Don't just ride the wave forever of like this design. I know it's a winner because I've heard that from so
Mhm.
many students. Oh,
Me
I know
too,
this is
man.
a good design, right? Like I know this.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah,
Mm.
it's a good design, but like oftentimes if you run an ad for a design, like that ad doesn't have to be that good. The website doesn't have to be that good. If you have a incredible design that people like really, really want, it's going to
Boom.
sell. It's going to sell even with the subpar ad, even with the subpar website, it's going to sell. So the number one thing to have success with this, to actually make sales, is have great designs, right? Like
Right.
designs that people actually want to buy. So I'll just leave it there. I could keep going on, but I think we've hammered this home enough.
Yeah, that's that. Like, I intentionally made that number one because I just wanted to make that like the primary focus out of the gate. I see the same thing too all the time, and a lot of my students' designs, they are good designs. I'm like, this is a really good design. I would think that this would resonate, but in most cases, I'm not the niche, so I don't know, right? I always fall back on the quote: "Intuition is great, but data always wins." Like anyone that gets emotional, go out there, get validation. If it doesn't make sales, then just take that as closure, right? Take that as closure and just move on to the next one. Let your customers vote with their dollars and let the data tell you if it's a winner or not. It doesn't mean you have to take it down from your website. You can still
Yeah.
have it up there, but just if it's not making sales with proper validation, then just accept that and move along. The faster you can do that, the better.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
was gonna say was like you don't have to remove it from your website. It doesn't mean it's
right.
like, gonna kill your business. Like there's very, very good chance that as you start to build your business, like people may add on that design as a upsell or an additional bundle. Or there's designs that I find like my existing base really takes to, but maybe new customers just don't take to as well. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean it's like a waste of your time to
Right.
just that you didn't waste your time creating that design, but move on, become prolific at creating a high volume of designs and putting them out there. And the more you put out there, the higher chance you have to hit on those winning designs. So it's literally just a probability. If you put out enough designs, you're
Right.
going to find a winner. You know what I mean? So you have to
Right.
be persistent at it.
Yeah, it's like practice makes perfect. Your designs are going to evolve over time, and they're in a lot of cases they're going to get better over time. And the yeah, I mean exactly what you said. Like you don't need to throw up 100 designs a month. If you're releasing 10 validated designs a month, I think you're going to hit a winner pretty quick as long as they're validated. Like that is key because one validated design has significantly higher likelihood of succeeding than 10 totally random designs with no validation behind them. Remember, you're always one design away. We say it and it sounds cliche, but it's true. One design can transform your business. And the thing is, if you just have a system in place where you are committed to creating X amount of validated designs per month, you're going to hit a winner and then you're going to hit another winner and another winner. And this is what's going to allow you to have that sustainability component to your brand. And when you do hit a winner, it's actually easier to hit more winners because what you can do is you can take clues from the success and you can reverse engineer the success of your own winning design. So that's what I've found is that it's once you hit one, it's easier to hit more.
Mhm.
All right. Let's talk about number two, the second way to increase your sales this year in 2024, and that is to improve your imagery. So, what you're going to realize when you start researching winning designs is there's this consistent trend. Most of them have very attractive imagery, particularly the featured image. So it's usually a lifestyle image or a really nice flat lay. Those are what I see performing the best. What it's almost never is a print on demand mockup. That is not usually what converts. And I'm not saying not to have any print on demand mockups on your product page. I think that's totally fine as long as they're nice mock-ups. But the the featured image, that needs to be something that really catches the eye. And what you'll realize when you see people running ads profitably to products, most of the time it's not a mock-up. Most of the time it's a lifestyle image or a flat lay image. And that's because those are much more likely to stop the scroll than something like a print on demand mockup. Print on demand mockups are generally very generic. A lot of times they just have a white background and they look like an ad. And a lot of people, that's not what stops the scroll. You actually want your ad, you want your products, the featured image, to actually look like something that one of their friends might be wearing. You want, a lot of times that's what stops the scroll. If someone's scrolling through and they see this person wearing this sweatshirt, they might be like, oh, who's this? Or is that my friend so and so? And then they look and they see the design. A lot of times that's what stops the scroll. Even though I will say the design is always what will get them to convert. However, enhancing your imagery can totally unlock a whole lot more sales than just using generic imagery, only generic imagery. So one pro tip that I recommend doing is to identify winning designs on Etsy is to use the Etsy mockups, which so many winning designs on Etsy are using Etsy mockups that are purchased on Etsy. And what you can do is, this is part of the reverse engineering of a winning product, is you can actually go out and you can find the exact same mockup and you can use that for one of your own original designs, since there is evidence to validate that that mockup converts. Now, it was probably the design that converted. However, the mockup also helped. It complements it. A lot of times, that's the difference between someone converting. If you have a really good design, that's going to be what sells most of the time. But if you want to market that design in its best light as well. And a lot of the time that's using these realistic lifestyle images. And personally, I find the best place to get those is on Etsy. That's my favorite place. So Kerry, I want to hear your thoughts on that. And then I have some kind of tips for people.
Yeah, the biggest thing I would say is great mock-ups or great imagery doesn't make up for bad design. So that's the
Totally.
biggest thing. We've been hammering that home.
Yeah.
Great images do not make up for bad designs. So the most important thing is that you have a winning design. But definitely think that the imagery makes a big difference in so many different things, right? The perception of a brand, who you're showing in those images. Is it your ideal customer? Is it somebody who looks like the person that you're going to be selling to? The perception of your brand, the quality of the products, the people want to see how your products look on a person when you have an apparel brand. I mean,
Yeah.
it really just affects a lot of things, and it can definitely affect the conversion of sales and those kind of things. So it's super important. And I personally, I guess as a tip, I've been obsessed with the AI mockups lately. I think it's so fascinating. I know that they're AI generated, and some people are like, they think they look fake or whatever. But man, the ones I've been creating are just like, they're so real, man. I don't know that you can tell the difference. And I just put together yesterday. I just uploaded a full module for our AI Profit Club members on how to create AI mockups and make them look really realistic. And so that's like on my mind. But it's one of the things that's really cool about it is that you can get the exact customer you want in those photos. That's what's so cool about it, is that when you use something like Place It, and I love Place It, but you have to just choose from the models, right? Like you have to choose. But doing it with AI, it's like you just hand selected a model, went out and did a photo shoot with them, because you can generate like exactly the age, the ethnicity, like exactly the customer that you're looking for. So I think that's really, really cool. But yeah, I think imagery is a huge portion of it. Kind of goes along with branding. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more, but so I don't want to steal your thunder, but kind of goes along with branding, right? And the color scheme and the fonts and different things like that. Like it all creates a picture together, and can definitely affect sales.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, it's huge. And that's why I love identifying winning designs on Etsy that use Etsy mockups and then just using the same mockup. You're allowed to do that. You are not stealing. It is not unethical. They bought that mockup from somebody else. And a lot of times when you find that mockup, you'll see that it's made like 500 sales. That means 500 other people are using that exact same mockup. So that's just the smart strategic thing to do is find one that converts and then use that exact one. Of course, you're going to change out the design, but just that gives you evidence that that particular one converts. And yeah, I agree. There are some really good AI mockups out there, and the lines are starting to get blurred now as to what's real and what's not real.
Use it for good, okay? I'll just say use it for good. Don't use it for anything unethical. But I think creating mockups is a great way to use it.
Totally. A couple other things in terms of imagery that I just want to point out. A few other common issues that I see are that the design is either too small on the ad or the image, or it's partially hidden. And that is a massive conversion killer because you have to remember that the majority of people are seeing your designs on a mobile phone. And I mean, just look at your mobile phone right now and see how small it is. If that design is really tiny on an image, imagine how tiny that's going to be on a mobile phone. It might look big on your desktop computer or your laptop, but it's not going to look big on your mobile phone. So knowing that the majority of your traffic is going to be coming from a mobile device, you want to make sure that your design is not too small or hidden at all because people will skip over it. If it's too small, they're not even going to see it. They're just going to keep scrolling because everyone's looking for the next dopamine hit and they're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So it's our job as marketers to stop the scroll and to create thumb-stopping images. But if they can't read it or they can't see it, they're just going to browse past it. It's just the way it is. So always make sure that the design is the hero of the image. Make sure that it's front and center. Make sure it pops. It is the most important element of a image if you're actually trying to sell that design. And just make sure, test it for yourself. When you post it, go on your mobile phone and see how it looks on a mobile and make sure that it's big enough that people will actually see it. Kerry, any thoughts on that?
Nope. Let's keep going.
All right. Tip number 3, the third way to increase your sales in 2024, and that is to improve your website. So I want to challenge everyone that has a Shopify site. If you have not already done this, which I'm guessing a lot of people have not because I didn't actually think of this when I first started my business, is test your website checkout process. And ideally, you would actually go through the whole process. So you would go to one of your collections page, you would add that, then you would click on a product, you would go to the product page, then you would add that product to cart, and then you would go through the checkout. And by doing this, you might actually find that there are some issues. And I know that sounds crazy, but I've actually seen a lot of websites that are very challenging to purchase from. And that, I mean, you need to know that. You absolutely need to know that. You don't need to go through the whole checkout process. What you can do is you can go up to the point of checkout and just make sure everything is fast, that it's smooth, that there's no glitches, that everything looks professional. But this is something that, is crazy as it sounds, I've seen on multiple occasions where these websites are very challenging to purchase from. Not only does this negatively affect the trust of the shopper, which is super important to complete a purchase, by the way. They need to know, like, and trust you. But if it's challenging for someone to buy, even if they had to jump through these hurdles and do all these workarounds to finally make a purchase, they're just not going to do it because you've added too much pain in the buying process. You've added too much friction in the buying process. And that is going to absolutely impact your conversions. So you always want to make sure that your website is fast, that it runs smoothly, that the checkout process is quick and easy and looks professional, that there's nothing glitchy there. And it's important to realize that many times if customers have not heard of your brand, and if they're just checking it out for the first time, well, first of all, statistically, they're not going to purchase the first time they visit a website. But in a lot of cases, they do, right? A lot of our products are impulse buy products. If we get in front of the right people, they will be pumped about it. Or if they need it for something like a Christmas gift or something, and Christmas is coming up, they're just going to go and they're going to buy it right away. And a lot of people do buy it right away, even though most people don't, but a lot of people do. And so that's why it's important to make sure that everything is smooth for them. Make it as easy as possible for the customer to buy. Additionally, on top of reducing friction in the buying process, is you want to be sure to conversion optimize your website. This is extremely important. And you want to have features like customer reviews, testimonials, user-generated content, which is just imagery of your customers or of people wearing your products. You can even take photos of you wearing your products, and you can feature those on your website. And those can actually do pretty good if you're strategic about the way these images are taken. But that's one thing. Having high quality imagery is another thing. Make sure that it's not blurry or pixelated, or when someone zooms in on an image that it looks really fuzzy. That just looks unprofessional. It breaks trust. And if you break trust, you can significantly reduce conversions, which is not a good thing. Having a thorough frequently asked questions page where you answer the most common questions that people have. Things like how does the product fit? You can also and should also include that in the product page with a sizing guide. This is one of the most important things that people want to know because they don't have a chance to try it on. This isn't a brick and mortar where they can just walk in and try it on and see if it fits or not, right? So you want to have information about the sizing. You want to have shipping information. This is huge, especially if people are buying this for a special occasion. A lot of the times they'll leave it to last minute, or they'll only see it last minute, and they want to ensure that it's going to arrive in time for that occasion. So you want to be very clear and transparent on your shipping times. Don't just say how long it takes to process. What I recommend doing is actually saying how long it's going to take to deliver that item to them. And you don't have to give an exact day. I always like to give a range, but base it off of your print-on-demand company. Whatever they say, I actually like to add in about a 1 to 2 day buffer just to be safe. I would rather over deliver. I'd rather under promise and over deliver, right? So you set the clear expectation so people aren't upset if it does take 10 days for that product to be delivered because you said it might take 10 days. But if you say it's going to take 5 days to ship, but you don't talk about the processing or the production time, then you're going to get a whole lot of customer service emails that you could save time from getting if you're just really clear and transparent. So give them what I say is on your product page, give them all the information they need to complete their purchase and no more. And a good FAQ should have that as well. Aside from that, having trust badges, if you do have a really good returns or exchanges policy, if you have free shipping over a certain threshold, if you have 10,000 customer reviews, it's definitely worth stating. If you have fast shipping, it's definitely worth stating. There's anything that's going to differentiate you and that it makes you kind of stand out, you should be highlighting those. You can, and when it comes to social proof, you can just never have enough. Like there's literally never enough social proof. So you should always be adding to that. Kerry, your thoughts?
Man, I could talk about this forever.
Right.
But I'll just rapid fire. I'm passionate about this point, improving your website, because I do think it's an overlooked thing that really contributes to like low conversions, low sales. You mentioned, so I'll just rapid fire a few. You mentioned the checkout process. So important. If your shipping is wrong, your shipping's broken, if you got too many pop-ups, if anything just not working in the checkout or not flowing smoothly, and always make sure you check everything on mobile. We're hammering this home a little bit on this podcast, but man, go through your checkout on mobile, like view your website on, we all have a phone. Like you have a phone, go check it on your phone. Don't just use the mobile version like on Shopify where you can like view the mobile version. Actually go on your phone because oftentimes it's like different. So checkout process got to be smooth. Don't have more than, I would say, one pop-up. some websites like to have a bunch. I would just say try to stick with one pop-up for your email addresses. We touched on things like having an FAQ, customer reviews, those kind of things. Last thing I wanted to mention is your product pages. I believe the product page is the most important page on your entire website because
100%.
generally when customers are clicking over from social media, they see an ad, they click from an email, they're going to go directly to the product page for the product that they're interested in purchasing. That means they're going to miss the homepage. They might scroll over there or whatever, but they're going to miss all those things. And your goal is to get them to check out in the least amount of steps possible. So reducing the friction and just getting them as quick as possible. So that means you need to have the best product page that you could possibly have. So I teach this framework that I actually came up with called the 4 P's of a perfect product page. That's a lot of P's. The 4 P's of a perfect product page. But if you just remember these 4 P's and you work on these 4 things on your product page, it will contribute to a better converting product page. So number 1, and I'll try to remember them all off the top of my head. Number 1 is price. Like that's actually not number 1, but that's one of the P's. Price. So got to have the right pricing, right? You don't want it to be too cheap. You don't want it to be too expensive. You got to find the right pricing. Photos. We talked about imagery, right? Having high quality mockups, showing your customers, all those kind of things. Product description. So having a product description that mentions the benefits, not the features. So describing things in a way that how these different things will benefit your customer. Fast shipping, those kind of things like benefit your customer. An easy return policy. The softness of a t-shirt, not necessarily like breaking down all of what the fibers are, but telling them how that relates to them. So benefits, not features in your product description. And then the last P is proof. We talked about reviews. Like you got to have reviews. You got to have customer proof, social proof on your product page. And that will contribute to higher conversion, higher sales. And that's statistically proven. If you look at the data, there's crazy statistics. Like 95% of people read reviews before making a purchase. So like it's, 9 out of 10 customers are looking for those reviews. They're considering the reviews before they make a purchase. And I know, especially when it comes to the online world, like when I go to purchase something online, let's just take like a pickleball paddle because I buy, tons of pickleball stuff. If I go online, I don't have the opportunity to hold it in my hand and actually hit a ball with it or feel how the grip feels or the handle, feel how the ball comes off the face, like the spin. I don't have the ability to test any of those things. So I'm relying on customer reviews. So if I go to purchase a pickleball paddle and there's no reviews, I'm not going to buy it because I'm taking a huge risk on purchasing it, not knowing how it's going to perform. So you have to have reviews. And even if you don't have sales, like you can still get reviews on your products. Like you can still have friends and family members, review it for you. If you order a sample, you have them just feel it and touch it, maybe put it on, those kind of things. You can have people just look at the design, give you their thoughts on the design. The most important thing when you're starting is that you just have reviews. They don't have to be the highest quality reviews. You need to have 4 and 5-star reviews. I don't mean that, but they don't need to be like the most like verified deep, reviews, like, whatever, like a verified review, I should say. You just need to have some reviews because people are going to be looking to see that the product has already been purchased, look to see what people think about it. Like people are just looking for those things as signs of this is a legit company. This is a good product. This is a trusted brand. So it's really, really important. So just to review those 4 P's, price, photos, product description, and proof. If you remember those 4 and just work on those on your product page, you're going to have a high converting product page.
Yeah, you got to over deliver on your product page. That was so well said. A lot of people, when you're running paid ads, that's the only page you're going to see.
Yeah,
you would be surprised how many people never look at another single product on your website. And that is why we do recommend having cross-sell and upsell apps to showcase other products and get them as an email subscriber so that you can showcase other products. Because in a lot of cases, if you are really niched down like you should be, and all of your designs are on niche, there's going to be other designs that they like, but it's our job as marketers to get those designs in front of them. But yes, you need to over deliver on the product page because that's where the decision is made to purchase. that's when someone clicks the add to cart button and they, in most cases, continue along and complete the purchase. So that was amazingly said. And I want to challenge everyone, like, if you have a website, pull out your phone right now and look at your website on your phone. Go on your phone, go to a collections page, make sure your homepage looks good, go to a collections page, select the product, click add to cart, go to the cart page and get all the way to the point of completing the purchase. You don't have to complete the purchase, but just test that process, because Kerry's totally right. Like, it's extremely important. It's actually even more important, in my opinion, that the process is smooth on the mobile side than on the desktop side, because we know that statistically that's where most people are looking at your products. And a lot of times they can look really good when they're done on a big monitor or on a laptop or a desktop, but they just don't look as good on mobile. Sometimes, a lot of times they do, but a lot of times they don't too. And so it's our job to test that. Very, very well said. All right.
Well,
Oh,
I was
good.
also just going to mention very briefly that you kind of touched on it, but man, how many times do we look at students or people running ads and they're like, my ads aren't working, I'm not getting sales. And then we look at the ad and we do reviews in our coaching program and we look at it and we're like, why is it going to the homepage? Why is your
Right.
ad? Why is the ad link going to the homepage?
Yes.
I know that's not related to this point, but I wanted to bring it up because earlier we were talking about like number one reason is winning design, and we're talking about traffic and all these kind of things. And sometimes like if you see an ad and it's for a t-shirt design, you're like, I like that, I want to buy it. And you click on it and then it takes you to the homepage and you're like, what is this? Where's the t-shirt I wanted to buy?
Right.
It's like you're just killing your conversion. So that is an important thing that's so basic. It's so like, and I'm not saying that to like make anybody feel bad. We've all done that. Trust me.
Totally.
I've run products ads and put the completely wrong link in the ad and just been like, why is it not working? Oh, I was sending people to the completely wrong website. So don't feel
Right.
bad. But
Yeah.
but it's like such a basic thing that we just make sure, your ads, your social media posts, all those things, like you're sending people directly to that product page.
Yep. Make it easy
Uh,
as possible for a customer to buy. And the more clicks, the more friction you're adding to the process. You want to reduce the number of clicks. And that means send them to a product page instead of the homepage. Or if you have a collection with that design, you can send them to a collections page. So at least everything that they're seeing when they click on the link is actually that design. And that can get people to buy more than one thing, or to maybe they were drawn in by a t-shirt and end up buying it in a sweatshirt format and you make more profit. So test both for yourself, but absolutely 100%. All right. Number 4 of the 5 ways to increase your sales in 2024, and that is to capitalize on holidays. So this is something that I consistently see from successful brands. This is something that I've been doing since the very beginning, because when I first started out, my coach told me this. They said, you should be going where the attention is. If the attention is on Christmas, then you should be creating some Christmas inspired designs. And I just want to make it really clear. I think that the majority of designs should be evergreen. That means that they can sell all year round and you don't see sales fall off a cliff after the holiday. However, the optimal strategy, in my opinion, is to have a blended mix of products. That means that you have the majority evergreen products that people are going to buy all year round, but you're also capitalizing on holidays. So there's always an upcoming holiday or a special occasion or even a season that you can be creating for. And many times that is where the attention is, and people are actually seeking out purchases for those occasions. So let me just rapid fire off a couple of these occasions. We could definitely dedicate a whole episode to having to all the occasions of the year, having a marketing calendar, which I think is amazing, because you should be planning in advance for all these. I generally recommend releasing occasion specific designs like 8-ish weeks before the actual occasion to get people thinking about the occasion and to give them more than enough time to purchase that product beforehand. But some occasions, some holidays are Father's Day, which is coming up at the time of this recording, and many people are looking for Father's Day gifts. We've got summer coming up. A lot of people don't think about this, but a lot of people are looking for a wardrobe refresh when the seasons change, and summer is a big one. So if you are planning on adding hats to your shop, swimsuits, towels, shorts, anything like that, this is the perfect time to be releasing that stuff and planting that seed to people, letting them know, oh yeah, summer's coming. I probably want some new, fresh clothes for summer. I would absolutely recommend doing that. Um, but some special holidays. We got Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Pride Month. You got fall. Fall's a great time to bring on new sweatshirts and hoodies, beanies maybe. You've got Halloween, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And what I've realized too is that it seems like every niche has its own like special day, like National Dog Day or National Cat Day or National Pie Day. You know, like there's like every niche these days seems to have its own day, and you should absolutely take that as an opportunity to capitalize. Absolutely, you should be doing that. Kerry, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you put this point in here. 'Cause I think it's it's not the typical like tip that we would give, but I think it's so good. Is like there's so many there's almost always throughout the year there's almost always something that you can kind of create for and then put kind of your marketing around. Now, as you kind of mentioned, some holidays are not really going to relate to your niche. I mean, there's going to be huge holidays like the Christmases and different things that everyone's going to want to do things for, Black Friday, all those kind of things. But there's also smaller ones that are related to your niche. There's also ones that you might be able to, do some designs for your niche, run a sale
Mm-hmm.
like a Father's Day, a Mother's Day. Like if you serve an audience that has fathers in them, like make some designs related to your niche for fathers.
Right.
And so holidays are so important. Like it's just an easy opportunity because almost every holiday people are wanting to buy gifts for, especially the major
Mm-hmm.
ones like you mentioned, Valentine's, Mother's Day, Father's Day, those kind of things. And then on some of the holidays that are maybe not focused around gift giving, like just run a sale, run a
Right.
sale for those. Run a Martin Luther King Day sale, a July 4th sale, man. Like
Right.
July 4th sales are like so underrated, because I feel like July 4th is like the Black Friday of the summer. Like it's a huge opportunity to run a July 4th sale. If you're in the US, obviously not everybody celebrates July 4th, but that's a huge one, huge shopping holiday. So I think holidays are so important and such a good opportunity. So I'm glad you
Totally.
brought this up.
Totally. And one thing that I like to tell people to do is create a collection for a holiday. If it's a big shopping occasion, like let's say Mother's Day, you can create a Mother's Day collection, and you can actually just curate products that you already have on your shop that could be related to Mother's Day. So maybe it's about love or something like that, right? And you can just add that to the Mother's Day collection. But then what you can do is you can also add kind of special edition Mother's Day inspired products, and you can release the entire collection. Even if there's only 2 products that you created for Mother's Day, if you have other products that it would make sense, you can just curate this collection. You can have 8 products that already exist in your store, and then you can add 2 specific Mother's Day products. And the other thing I'll say is, let's say you're creating Christmas inspired designs. Well, if it's a Christmas and truly Christmas inspired design, sales are probably going to fall off a cliff after Christmas. That makes sense, right? Because it's a seasonal design. But what you can do is you can just remove that collection and then relaunch it the next year. You can even relaunch the exact same collection. No one's going to care. Most people aren't even going to remember, and no one's going to care. What I like to do is I like to re-release the collection, send out an email about it, advertise it on social media, and each year try to add a couple new designs to the collection. So maybe you created 6 this last Christmas, maybe create 2 original ones, and then you'll have 8 in your collection, and you can re-release that collection come October, right? Like 8 weeks or so prior to the actual holiday. So that's just another kind of pro tip that I highly recommend doing if you are creating collections inspired by a particular holiday.
Good
All
stuff.
right, Kerry, anything else on that point?
No.
Okay, cool. We are on our fifth and final way to increase your sales in 2024, and that is to jump on trends. Now, this could mean a lot of things. This could look like style trends, it could look like design trends, it could look like font trends, it could look like media trends. There are so many trends, and there are always new ones. And this is a beautiful thing as marketers because it's a new opportunity to increase our sales by jumping on them. I want to talk about, like, hands down, one of the hottest trends right now. But Kerry, I want to hear if you have anything to say about trends before I unveil this mega trend.
I see it on the notes, and I'm like, all right, we're doing this.
We're doing this.
I would just say about trends. Number one, look for trends in your niche, like directly related to your niche. Those are probably going to be the most powerful, I think. Even though I know you're going to touch on like a massive, like worldwide trend, if you have something trending like in your niche that you can take advantage of, the people that you are in your audience are going to care most about that, right? Like, there's a high likelihood that like almost everyone's going to care about it versus like a national trend. Maybe not everyone will care, like it's going to be more broad. So I would say number one, look for trends in your niche, things that are being talked about more frequently in your niche. And number two, then also think about those broader, worldwide trends, national trends, whatever, that you can then capitalize on, which I think is what you're going to talk about here. And it's really like taking those broader trends and then figuring out how you can again relate them back to your niche to create designs and create possibly content and things like that. So go ahead, Adrian.
That first point is exactly what I'm going to be talking about. You stole my thunder there, man.
Sorry,
no, I'm kidding. No, it's good. It's good. We're both in agreement that you should take a trend and then figure a way to make it relevant for your niche. Because what I have seen is that a lot of people that have niche specific stores, which is the strategy we strongly recommend, they try to capitalize on these huge media trends, but they don't do anything to make it relevant to their niche. And their customers are kind of scratching their heads and no one's buying the product, even though it might be selling massively over on Etsy or a marketplace or other websites that are more broad, right? So let's talk about one of the biggest trends right now. This trend has been absolutely blowing up. And that is Taylor Swift's new album. Kerry, have you listened to Taylor Swift's new album?
Hell's no, bro.
What? Dude,
Don't listen to Taylor Swift. I'm not into Taylor Swift at all.
Okay, well, even if you're not into Taylor Swift, there's a lot of quotable stuff in the album
I'm sure
that
is.
a lot of people are repurposing. So what's that?
I said it's a trend.
Yeah. I binge listened to the whole album. It's good. It's good. I like Taylor Swift. I'm a fan. I've actually seen her. Fun fact: I've seen her in concert twice.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow, you're like a mega fan.
Oh yeah. I'm a Swiftie.
Wow.
No, I'm not. I'm not like a crazy Swiftie, but I do think she's pretty awesome. And I did binge listen to the album when it came out, but I did it because I think Taylor Swift is great, but I also actually wanted to find quotable stuff. And it didn't take long before I saw a whole bunch of Taylor Swift quotes all over Etsy, all over websites, people selling them. And I just want to share some of the stats on this trend because right now, this is where a lot of attention is. And there is an opportunity for some brands, if it makes sense, to capitalize on this trend. So the album is called the Tortured Poets Department. And not only did this album become Spotify's most streamed album in a single day in history in less than 12 hours after its release, but it also became the first album on the platform to amass more than 300 million streams in a single day ever. And I kind of laughed to myself because I bet you anything, a ton of those people were marketers and sellers, and they were just binge listening to the album, looking for quotes that they could repurpose for products, right? It's smart. It's really smart if you can actually find one that makes sense. Also, the opening track on the album, Fortnite, featuring Post Malone, it broke Spotify's record for the most streams ever garnered by one song in a day. And just 5 days after this album was released, it became the first album in Spotify history to surpass 1 billion streams in a single week. Kerry, can you imagine if we got 1 billion streams on the podcast?
We did,
I'd be like,
bro. What do you
no.
mean? This is like the number one podcast in the world. I mean, like, we get 1 billion streams every week, dude. Taylor Swift
Oh,
too.
I wish,
I'm just
man.
kidding.
No, but it stands as the fastest album in history to hit that milestone. I actually posted a
wild.
YouTube video recently on my channel showing a Taylor Swift inspired shirt that's estimated to have made over $25,000 in sales in the last 30 days. And that can be the power of capitalizing on trends effectively. So going on to that, I want to share a pro tip about this. And then I want to share a strong word of caution, because I will say that product that I showcased, they were infringing on, like, it was bad. It was bad. Like, they're probably going to get their account terminated. They were on Etsy, and I think they made a lot of mistakes. They were very smart in hopping on the trend, but they were very, I don't know, like, they took a very risky approach, and it's probably not going to end well for them. But here's what I will say. Pro tip: by identifying media trends early, like the release of Taylor Swift's album, what you can do is you can be very quick to jump on the trend and create for the demand. Like, if you know Taylor Swift is going to be releasing her album in a week from now, you should be waiting. You should mark that day on your calendar, and you should listen to the album and find ways that you can repurpose things if it makes sense. If you're in a niche that hates Taylor Swift, then don't do it, because no one's going to want the product, right? Mm-hmm. But there is a lot of overlap with, let's say, Taylor Swift, an iconic musician, and a lot of other niches. And you find that a lot. Like, I have a friend who was in, what niche were they in? I'm trying to remember. They were in, I think, social justice, and they found that a lot of Lady Gaga fans also really resonated with that niche. And so what you can find, like, mega figures who there's a lot of overlap.
Well, Taylor Swift is so big that it's like almost any niche, right? Like, you got Taylor Swift fans. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But the reason why I recommend jumping on these trends early is because the trend is going to fizzle out eventually, right? And usually the most momentum is in the first few days, weeks, or months of a trend. So the quicker you hop on that trend, first off, you're going to be quicker than a lot of other people. And so you're going to get those sales if people are looking for products like that. And the more likely you are to see your sales take off, because it's a momentum game. You want to have the products at peak momentum. So that's the pro tip, is try to jump on these trends early. The earlier, the better. But let me talk about a word of caution, because it is not all sunshine and rainbows when it comes to jumping on trends. One thing that I strongly advise against is using musicians' names on your products, song titles, album titles, or exact song lyrics, since infringing on trademarks, marks, and copyrights, that can get you in a lot of legal trouble, and it's really not worth risking. I heard this quote recently that said, don't risk the pot of gold. Oh, I forget the quote, but it was something about, like, don't risk something for the pot of gold, or it was essentially a quote saying, don't take big chances, like big risks for a sale, because a lot of times it's going to end off way worse for you if you do that. So just don't touch that stuff with a 10-foot pole. But instead, here's where it becomes actionable. Instead, find a creative way to blend the trend with your niche. So, for example, a shirt that's one of the quotes from Taylor Swift is "All's fair in love and poetry," and this is one that I'm seeing on a lot of shirts right now. And what I would do if I was in another niche is I would find a creative way to overlap that. So I came up with this random example for the fitness niche, where instead of all's fair in love and poetry. You could say something like all's fair in love and lifting if you're in the fitness niche. Or let's say you're in the chemistry niche. You can say all's fair in love and chemistry. Something like that, right? You just find a way to fuse the trend with your particular niche. And if your audience gets the trend, if they understand it and they like it, then a lot of times that can lead to conversion. So this is just one of many examples of finding ways to jump on trends and repurpose it for your particular niche. So this is just a really good way to create for the demand while also ensuring that your designs are actually original and they actually still resonate with your niche, because that is very important. I am very bullish on always stay on niche in your content, in your designs, everywhere. Always stay on niche. You want people to feel like your brand was made for them and that it gets them. So you don't want to be posting super random stuff, even if it's a viral design. A lot of times that won't do well for you. But if you can find a way to be creative and fuse it with your niche, then that can do well for you. Kerry, your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, I totally agree. I think it's important that you mentioned, and I just want to reiterate, like, what we're not telling you to do. Cause I went on Etsy while you were talking and just searched like tortured poet shirt, which you would think Etsy would like just outlaw
Crack
those kind of
down.
terms like altogether.
Mhm.
But, I went on there and it's like, these are just hundreds of shirts that are just literally completely just riding the Taylor Swift hype and just you know, ripping off everything.
Right.
There's shirts that just say Tortured Poets Department with like the logo on it. There's lyrics,
Mhm.
direct lyrics. This is not what we're telling you to do. We're telling you
No.
to identify a trend. And this is a trend right now. The biggest music, the biggest album songs in the world, like of all time, right?
Right.
So, and then how can you take some of those elements and bring it back to your niche? Another example I was just thinking of as you were speaking was, she's got this really cool logo for the album with these certain fonts, right? Like, could you do something in your niche with that kind of design? And I know it's a little bit hard to see. You'll have to look this up, but if you look up, Tortured Poets Department album cover, like you'll see the TTPD logo there. It's like, could you do something like that for some word or acronym in your niche with that font style? Or could you
Right.
use the font style from the album cover, like just the font in general, just to create something with a similar color scheme? And what it does is when people look at your design, you could be in the cat niche or whatever, name
Mhm.
a niche. You could be in the cat niche, but they see you do tortured cats department or something, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
yeah. But you do that same kind of logo design with the same kind of color palette, and then they instantly go, oh, it's a Taylor Swift thing. Like it registers in the brain, but you're not infringing on all these copyrights, right? So it's important that we're not, I just want to mention that we're not telling you to rip off any of this stuff. You're literally just writing a trend and taking some inspiration from it. Make sure you apply it to your specific niche. And that's a incredible way to capitalize on a trend. And
Mhm.
I also think it's important to know, I talked about this earlier in a coaching call with some shirt school students this morning. Um, trends don't last forever. Trends, they only trend for a time. Like they go up and they go down. So trends are great. Just don't expect them to last forever, but jump on them while
Mhm.
you can. And they can be really big, right? Like another trend, and I'm not encouraging anybody to do this, totally up to you if you want to do it. But another trend is like it's an election year. It's a huge,
Mhm.
presidential election coming up in November, and that's what everyone's going to be talking about for the next, 7-8 months or whatever, however long it is, and it's just going to ramp up and ramp up and ramp up. So, does that mean you need to start a political brand? No. But does that mean you should keep your ear out for what candidates, for little punchlines and different things that candidates might be saying that you could then apply to your niche? Heck yes, you should, for
Mhm.
sure. Like, how many billions of dollars have been made off "Make Whatever Great Again"? Like, it's just
Right.
like gazillions and gazillions of dollars, like, so, and it doesn't mean you're supporting that or anything like that, and you have to use your own judgment on what you want to do. I'm just saying it's a trend, right? So look out for those trends.
Totally. And I mean, like you don't, they don't have to be political at all. There's so
Yeah.
many funny satirical uh, shirts around the election. Like you could even
Yeah.
have Taylor for president. If your niche
Swift.
loves Taylor
Swift
Swift,
2024.
you could say Taylor for president, Taylor 2024, right? Just if you know that that's going to resonate with your niche. But you could also say my cat for president. You could make a personalized shirt that show that someone gets to put their animal's name and says for president, or Coco 2024. There's so many fun ways to jump on where the attention is without actually getting political at all. And that's in most cases what I'd recommend. Of course, unless you're in the political niche or something like that, then you take a side and maybe you lean all in on that, right? But there's so many creative ways to get in. And exactly what you were saying, Kerry, about the tortured cats department. Like if you made everything, if you made it look exact, I mean, that sounds kind of bad, but it's funny because it's based off of Taylor Swift's album, and you can make everything look super, super similar, but just changing out that one word poets to something else. It doesn't have to be cats. It could be runners. It could be, skiers. I'm just thinking of anything here, rock climbers, and you make it look like it, and you're jumping on a trend, right? You're fusing your niche with that trend. And sometimes you're going to strike gold and it's going to really hit. Sometimes it's going to flop, but you are improving your chances if you know that that's where the attention is. And a lot of people are buying products based around that particular trend. Yep. So with that, we're gonna kind of wind things down here, but I just want to recap the 5 steps. And just before I do that, I found the quote that I was talking about. I Googled it while you were talking, Kerry. The quote says, "Don't risk the empire for a pot of gold." And this is what I would tell to anyone who's on the fence about infringing on a trademark or copyright that they know they're infringing on, like putting Taylor Swift on a shirt or putting her album cover or her song lyrics. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. If you want to create a sustainable brand, that is not the way to go. Most people know that that's wrong. If you don't, you'll probably find out because it might not end well for you, but just stay away from that. You can find a lot of ways to capitalize on the trend while making original designs. And that's always what we recommend. Hey, just a quick reminder before we hop off. Again, I want to invite you to my free live masterclass on how to make your first $10,000 with Shopify and print on demand, where I'm going to be sharing my entire strategy that I use to go from zero to over $2.5 million in t-shirt and apparel sales. So if that's something that you're interested, if you do want to attend the live trading, you are all invited. The dates are Wednesday, May 29th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, and Thursday, May 30th at 9 a.m. Pacific time and 12 p.m. Eastern time. If you would like to register and save a seat, you can click on the link below in the show notes to sign up, or you can go to my Instagram at Ecom Legends Academy and click on the link in my bio, and there you will see a button where you can save your seat. Also, if you are unable to make it, if you're working during that time or for some reason you can't make it to either of those times, you can still sign up and we will send you a replay for a limited time. So you can go and you can listen to the replay. So I would love to see you there. I love meeting our listeners. It's so much fun connecting with you guys on a personal level. So know that you're invited and I hope to see you there. So just to recap the 5 steps, the 5 ways to increase your sales in 2024. 1 is to improve your designs. 2 is to improve your imagery. 3 is to improve your website. 4 is to capitalize on holidays. And 5 is to jump on trends. So with that, we're going to wrap up. Kerry, any final thoughts?
No. Thank you for listening.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. You guys are awesome. And remember that you're always just one design away. We will talk to you all very soon. Take care, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us an honest review on whichever platform you're listening from. Thanks again and have a great day.